I'm wrapping up my reviews with Robocop 3. This is the worst one. That's not a surprise. And the only way that I can make sense out of this in my head is to think of this as just fan fiction. They expanded on a few elements from the first movies, but for the most part, they just added a bunch of garbage in a lazy attempt to appeal to kids. And it's a mess. But before I go into what's awful about it, let me get the good out of the way. Don't worry, it won't take long. I like the few throwbacks that they have from the original.
Freeze! You are trespassing on police property.
I'll buy that for $1.
These ultimately come off as just fan service, but I'm a fan, so it worked on me. I like how in this one, OCP finally came through with the construction of Delta City. The first two movies kept hinting at this, but it wasn't until Robocop 3 that we actually saw the construction start. And in order to build Delta City, OCP had to evict everyone from their neighborhood and demolish their homes. There's also a small faction of people that team up and fight against OCP to save their neighborhood.
Right here! Fight for your home!
And this brings me to the next thing that I really liked about this movie. This group of people trying to save their neighborhood is introduced as the bad guys. And when the movie opens up, Robocop's chasing them. But when he learns about their situation, he honors his directive to protect the innocent and joins them to fight against OCP.
You are making a mistake. Back off.
It's done in a clunky way, but the overall narrative of having Robocop turn sides and fight with the people against OCP, it just seems like such a natural progression in Robocop's story. OCP has always been a self-interested corporation, and up to this point, it's always been Robocop fighting back. So it's nice to have everybody else on board. The last good thing I'll bring up is kind of in the middle. It's good, but it's also bad. Robocop's attachments, his arm gun that's also a flamethrower, his jetpack, I actually like these. Even back in the original, his arms were different color than the rest of his body, and they already looked detachable. It just seems like a natural evolution of his character to have these gadgets. They're just not used well. He basically just uses his arm gun to open doors, and for some reason, he uses his flamethrower to take out the bad guys in the police station. Because, doesn't fire look cool? Altogether, even though the execution of his attachments are terrible, I like the idea of Robocop having these little gadgets to use throughout the movie. Okay, that about does it for the good. Now on to the bad. The first thing we need to get out of the way is Robocop.
You called for backup?
I don't really mind the new actor. Peter Weller didn't want to come back, so what were they supposed to do? They got a new actor with a similar body type to fit in the suit they already made, and they made the best of what they had. My biggest problem is his voice.
Police officer, no loitering.
What the hell is this? It's so digital, it's like they're trying to hide the fact that it's a new actor. But if that was the case, why did they have so many scenes with his helmet off? If they're trying to hide the fact it's not Peter Weller, showing his face is probably a bad idea. Not to mention the makeup effects look terrible. They should have eliminated all of the scenes altogether, or at the very least, kept the scenes to a minimum and made better use of the makeup budget. Now on to the glaring problem with this movie. The gruesome nature of the franchise is completely eliminated thanks to the PG-13 rating.
Boo! 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 Boo!
Now, to be honest with you, even though this makes me upset, I understand. At the time, Orion was going through a bankruptcy, and they needed the movie to appeal to as many people as possible. Now, if that means you need to water down the violence and get rid of the F-bombs to make the movie work, fine. I wouldn't have been thrilled, but at least I would have been happy with a PG-13 Robocop that dove a little deeper into some of the profound themes from the original. The problem is, they pandered way too heavily to kids, and they eliminated anything that they thought kids wouldn't be able to understand. And quite frankly, it came across as condescending. Keep in mind that I was the target audience for this movie. I was about 9 when it came out, and boy did I hear about it.
Robocop 3.
It was advertised on all my favorite channels. There were full-page ads in my comic books devoted to Robocop 3, not to mention the toys.
Robocop, hands up. Uphold the law. Drop it.
Trust me, I was looking forward to this movie. But even as a kid, I was able to see through all the pandering, and I despised all the efforts made to transform the franchise. For starters, they did away with most of the news breaks and commercials. We get just a couple scenes of news, but the camera pulls away too quickly, and we never really get invested in what they're saying.
National Kanamitsu Corporation.
Come on, honey. Hurry up.
As a kid, I may not have been able to understand exactly what the news people were saying in the first couple movies, but I was never bored. In fact, they made me feel so mature and cool for watching them. They actually challenged me to pay attention and try to stay engaged with the plot, which is something most movies don't do when you're a kid. Getting rid of all this in the third movie for the sake of appealing to kids, it really underestimated their intelligence and their attention spans. And the same can be said about all the office dialogue scenes. As a kid, sure, it might get a little boring watching guys in suits babble on, but don't fix this with some annoying cartoon version of a CEO.
It's turning into a war zone!
All of the scenes reminded me of some stupid, campy, made-for-kids TV show.
Delta City! Knock it off, Johnson.
Like, this is how kids see adults. Give me a break. And who can forget the adorable little girl who happens to also be savvy enough with computers to reprogram Ed 209?
Be loyal as a puppy.
Aw, he's so cute. I mean, Robocop 2 also had a kid, but at least they had the balls to not only make him a villain, but they killed him off as well. This little girl was only added to appeal to kids, in particular, little girls. And they didn't stop there. Just in case you didn't have enough characters for the kids, they threw in a robot ninja, which doesn't even have anything to do with the plot. You could eliminate every scene with this robot, and it wouldn't make any difference to the story. But movies like Three Ninjas and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they were making all kinds of money and getting sequels, so it seemed like a slam dunk. Add a ninja. And what's most pathetic, they didn't even hire an actor who knew martial arts. Yeah, the ninja doesn't even ninja. They wanted a ninja, but for everyone involved with the movie, an Asian actor holding a sword, that was good enough. Just like how using this scene that so obviously shows Robocop breathing was good enough. Or how about this one, showing the actor's arm behind his back when Robocop loses his hand? Or how about all the writers who didn't think that blowing up an OCP security gate would alert officials?
All clear. Let's go.
But using a keycard would. Or how about having every police officer in Detroit quit?
You can't do this!
Only to have them show up later in full uniform, driving police cruisers.
The rest of you are hereby deputized by the Detroit Police Department.
I'm pretty sure that's illegal. I'm sure someone had to notice these problems. I mean, they couldn't have all gone under the radar. But somewhere along the line, some Orion executive said, yeah, that'll do. The overall lack of effort is so obvious throughout the entire movie. And it's especially painful, considering how much care and attention went into the original. And as much of a step down Robocop 2 was from the original, at least they tried. Robocop 2 stayed true to the original characters and the tone, and for that, even though it's not great, at least it's good. Robocop 3? At best, this falls into the it's so bad it's good category. So get together with your friends, crack open some beers, and subvert your expectations, because this isn't anything like the original.
I am now authorized to be loyal as a puppy.
Thanks for watching, everyone. My name's Kenny, and until next time, let's not just watch movies, let's talk about them too.